In this video, we're going to explore how to create discussions. To start a discussion, locate the place where you want to put it. I'm going to put it underneath sample folder 2, so I'm going to click that green plus icon, and I'm going to select discussion. We'll go ahead and give our discussion a title. We definitely want to use this description box to give directions to our students. If you have multiple questions they're responding to, it may be a good idea to use the enumerated bullets or the enumerated numbers in this case. Give it some bold, and then feel free to stylize as you want. You can insert links as well. So maybe, I want to make a link to a Google Doc, or maybe I want to have a link to a YouTube video. But it's nice because you can insert resources in this description box right here if you want students to look at them first before they respond. You can also do the same thing using the insert content tool, which we've used in our prior lessons. Insert images, insert a link again, insert something from your Google Drive or from YouTube itself to embed it. Maybe you want it to be embedded. Again, if you do insert content, the YouTube will be embedded and the Google Doc will be embedded as well, not just a simple hyperlink. You can also upload a file to this discussion. Maybe it's a PDF or an image you want your students to view first. Here's another option for linking. You can also use this option here, audio-video recording, to actually record directions or record yourself, maybe giving directions to students so they watch your video first and then they respond to that video. Or you can provide them maybe with an example of what an expected outcome is going to be on what the discussion should look like and feel like. So maybe you use that as a way to show them an example response. If your students need sentence frames, that may be also something nice to either link here or maybe upload the file, however you have it either stored online or on your computer. But you can provide lots of resources for your students so that they can contribute a quality discussion type piece. We can give it a due date here. If we're going to grade this, we want to give it a due date so it goes in the gradebook. Again, we've got to give it a due date if it's going to go in the gradebook. We do have to turn grading on for discussions. It's defaulted to off. So I'm going to enable grading here. I'm going to select the discussions category. That's the category it's going in. The grading period is going to be defaulted to the one that your course is. Factor is going to be the weight of these points. So right now, if the factor is 1 and it's 100 points, that means it's going to be worth 100 points in this category. If I change this to 2, that means although it's 100 points, it's going to be weighted as double. That would be weighted as triple. I'm going to change it back to 1. Syncing is Synched Assists means that if we check this, it's always defaulted to checked, is when we sync grades to Infinite Campus, the grades of these discussions within Schoology will transfer to Infinite Campus. So we need to have Synched Assists checked if we want to be able to successfully sync grades from Schoology to Infinite Campus. The scale is defaulted to numeric, which is this point total here. If you do have other rubrics, you can search for them in resources and go ahead and select one. So maybe I want to grade with a rubric, either one you've already created yourself or someone has shared with you. Down at the bottom, we can individually assign it. It's defaulted to individually assigned to everybody, so whatever student goes on here can respond. I can lock the discussion. So let's say that I publish it and post it now, and I only want students to respond to it today. I can lock it on a certain date. So I'm going to lock it on this date at this time, or I can lock it now. I'm going to leave it unlocked for now. Again, I can publish it to students. It's defaulted that students will be able to immediately see it. This option here is important. It's defaulted to members can see other responses before participating. So if it doesn't matter to you in this case that students see other students' responses before they actually respond, then you're going to leave this as it is. However, if you don't want students to see other students' responses, you want them to be really thinking on their own first and then sharing their opinions before they see others, we're going to go ahead and click this and we're going to switch it to require members to post before revealing others' responses. And again, when we hover over these icons, whichever blurb displays is the one that's set. And I can copy this to other courses if I want to, if I don't have my sections linked. I'm going to go ahead and click Create. So there's my discussion. There's the icon. There's the title. It's listed there. I'm going to click and preview it. The rubric is embedded. Here's the directions. There's the link that we have that maybe they need to look at before they respond. And again, you can kind of see how these links will show up here just as when you typed them in. You would click and then they'll pop off to new places here. I don't have any responses yet. No posts have been added to this discussion yet. So that's how you create a discussion within Schoology. Now that the discussion has been created, let's take a look at the student perspective. So I'm a sample student. I come into my folder. I click the title for the discussion. The rubric is shown to me as the student. It looks basically exactly like the teacher view here. The only difference is I can respond down here at the bottom. When students respond, they have very similar formatting features that the teacher has in their description box, including inserting content like links. And they also have these options down here. They can upload a file, they can insert a link, they can pull from their resources, and they can also submit an audio-video response. Let's say theoretically I'm a student, I'm submitting my response, I'm going to go ahead and post that. It shows me my response right here. If there were other student responses, they would also display here. Because I had the setting set that I can't see any responses until I respond my own. We're going to transition back to the teacher view now, and we're going to talk about how we can grade this as a teacher. So if I'm a teacher and I'm now ready to grade my responses, I notice that I have an update right here that tells me there's one response that's ready to be graded. Sometimes you may need to refresh to have the system see what's available to be graded. When I refresh, I also notice that I have a reminder up here for one graded discussion post or ungraded discussion post. I can go ahead and click that and go there as well. If I want to see all student responses, I'm going to click the discussion. The rubric is listed here. Student responses populate at the bottom. I can highlight certain users if I want to, if I'm displaying this to the class. There are different expansions and ways to collapse content as well. So here's the response. I can like it. I can reply as a teacher. If I want to grade it right now, I'm going to go ahead and click this. I can give a comment privately to the student, and I can show it to the student. I'm going to click my rubric, and I'm going to grade it. So if I go through, go ahead and give it a grade. Notice how it populates over here. Out of 15 points, the total is 9. So 9 out of 15. Go ahead and click Save. The check mark indicates that this student has been graded. One of the things with discussions that's important to pay attention to is we notice that if you're using rubrics, this is a 15-point rubric. And if I go and edit my discussion, remember, you see how it changed to 15 points from 100? So that's nice when you have a rubric, is that when I set it as the rubric, it'll change the point total from, it was 100, now it changed it to 15 to match whatever the rubric was. So that was nice. I just want to clarify that. And now if I go to my gradebook, I see that Eric Brown, for our discussion, has 9 points. Another way to grade discussions is to go individually by student in here. So if Tiffany submitted one, I can click my rubric in my gradebook and just grade it here. You know, I don't see the discussion, so this may not be the best practice if you're going for accuracy. Right? And you can view the discussion from within the gradebook as well.